my cup, wrap around, bundle me up, thinking about old man Windsor.
Well, the rain is back. Now I'm a bit smarter. Now I just realise it's better to just sit and wait it out rather than getting wet in this sort of cold weather. So it looks like hopefully it might pass soon. But luckily it's sheltered here at least anyway. Raindrops keep falling on my head. That doesn't mean my eyes will soon be turning red. This is just outrageous. What on earth am I doing here?
Can't even hear myself think. Look at it. Man, it's just not stopping. And there's when I put the tent here, it was dry. And now there's a river running straight underneath. And I'm trying to make a channel here. But still the water is pooling around here. I put this tent up because it started raining in the day. Lucky it's not the dead of night at the moment. My God, I hope it stops soon.
That last clip with me on the mountaintop in a rainstorm that lasted for 1.5 days was the beginning of the end of my mission as stated in the beginning. That was 3 days ago. The experience on the mountaintop where there was actually a river running through my shelter and having to sleep or try to sleep or wait the night out in water, in the rain and the howling wind, was enough to make my sleeping bag, let's start with this, dripping wet. So once I finally got off the mountain and all of that had ended, the first priority was to get the sleeping bag dry, because the mission is a failure if I don't have somewhere to sleep. And so I found a spot with enough firewood. I got a fire going.
Put me something warm in my cup, wrap around, bundle me up, thinking about old man Windsor. Another year has flown by, out with the holiday dresses and ties, gussing up on display, lit up and tucked away.
Started drying things out, you know, the rain had held back, and then lo and behold, it started to rain again. And there was no chance that day. This was only halfway down the mountain, with civilization a day's walk away. I had to face the fact of spending an entire night without a sleeping bag in an improvised shelter. In the rain. So I tried it for a while. I did as many sit-ups and push-ups as I could to keep warm, because all my spare clothes, all my clothes were also soaking wet. So to wait the night out, I thought I've got to put out all stops and just somehow try to forget about sleeping, just somehow keep warm and somewhat keep occupied. So I went outside in the rain, and the fire had gone out from the rain, and I got my emergency kit out, fire kit, and I started to try to make a fire, which took about, it almost went out a couple of times, and in about 2 hours I finally got it as a self-sustaining fire, and the whole night was spent chopping wood, feeding the fire, and kind of building a very, very, very rudimentary roof with my poncho over the top of the fire so it wouldn't go out, and a bit of it also sheltered me. And there I sat all night, trying to keep warm, and I waited the night out. Then the next morning it was obvious that with a wet sleeping bag, all my clothes wet, there was no sense in continuing anymore. So it took me all day to walk down the mountain. After a series of incidents, I finally found a camping place, and they put me up in a cabin where I tried to dry my stuff out, but it was just impossible. When a down sleeping bag gets that wet, you can't just hang it out and dry out. You need a machine, and you need all sorts of other ways of doing it. So it was obvious the mission had failed, and so I slept on it. I looked at different options, and in the morning I already started looking for flights back home, because I couldn't think of what else to do. And then I recalled one of our fans, a guy in Bergen, one of the Trekheads fans. Before this trek started, he'd written and said if I need any help to call him. Well, I called him, and he answered, and he was very forthcoming, and he offered me a place to stay in Bergen. With that option alive, there is still hope now for this adventure to continue, a new chapter. And I've got some things working on in my mind, and I'll have a talk to the people who put me up. I haven't met them yet, and I'll see what I can work out. But I don't think I'm that desperate that I have to go back yet, because I've still got like about 2.5 weeks to go.
Put me something warm in my cup, wrap around, bundle me up, thinking about old man Windsor. Another year has flown by, out with the holiday dresses and ties, gussing up on display, lit up and tucked